Good evening, everyone, to the Shir of Likutey Moaran, Torah Chaf Aleph. This is obviously a cloud this whole month, and it's very pertinent to this Indian of Sheva Saneras of Rabbeinu says Anona Kovid. We are right before Shabbat Zachor. The Parsha Zachor. This is the mitzvah d'oraisa. It's machlokes actually it's d'oraisa d'rabbanon, but milchachila this is the mitzvah d'oraisa. No, sorry. V'adam mitzvah d'oraisa. The shaila is whether women are chayav or not. So we're knowing that they are. So v'adam mitzvah d'oraisa. So what we're talking about, the eating of Parshas Zachor, the eating of Shiva Saneras, the seven, this Danona Kovid, which we explained are the Makifin. So let's just try to make a little order in this whole Inyan before we continue and go with the next set of seven. I mean, I know that this is things that we have said before, but being that it's these are complicated matters, you need to understand that. So the more we repeat them, the more we understand what the mechanics of it are. So Rabbeinu starts on the pasuk Ba'aloischo Esaneros. Aaron says, say to Aaron, in other words, the protagonist of this Torah and this particular point in time is Dafka Aaron HaKohen. It says, Aaron HaKohen Ba'aloischo Esaneros El Mul Pnei HaMinoira Ha'ir Shiva Saneros. So we say Ba'aloischo. Rashi says, Shetesh HaLeves Oila Me'eleh. So the pashtus means that you should hold your hand, to the wick, and let it until it actually starts burning on its own. And we said that the lashon is the language is a little bit hard to understand because you are commanding Aaron HaKohen to do what? You should say to him, when you light the nearest, or when you prepare the nearest. This is Ba'aloischo, talks about a stage which is not under Aaron control. In other words, Ba'aloischo is already after he took, that's the stage that the candle does it on its own. So what kind of a tzivui is this? What kind of a command is this? So, so Rabbeinu says that there are two types of intellects. There is what you call the human intellect, the human, the kind of intellect that every human being has. It doesn't matter, it's a yid or a goy, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. This is called, the pasuk says, "Achor v'kedem satani." You have created me, achor and kedem. Achor is the regular kind of intellect, where whatever it is that you know is based upon things that came before it. You lay down ultimately an axiom, a supposition. Upon this, you build and build and build and build. So wherever it is that you're holding it, it is always resting on a previous understanding, knowledge, feeling, something that you were told, something that you saw, something that you felt, whatever it is. But it's always based on something which comes before. And this is the state that you have arrived in right now. But this intellect is called achar. Everything that is in the back, it's based on that which came before. He says, Kedem is a seichel that there has never been anything that came before it. because Kedem represents the Shefa Eloki, the Ruach HaKodesh, the wisdom of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which has always existed and always exists and will always exist. The thing is, the only thing that we're talking about is that you as a human being can arrive, can prop yourself up, can prepare yourself to absorb this, to take part in this seichel that never starts and never ends. There's no kedem, there's no ochar to this. There's no something that came before it. There's no before it. It's the whole thing. As a human being, you have to take it piece by piece, as the Torah says. It gives you the technique with which to transcend yourself from a human kind of intellect to a godly intellect. The human intellect is called achar, and the godly intellect is called kedem. Rabbeinu says that when you achieve this kedem, when you get the whole thing in one fell swoop, you got it, boom, it just comes in. And we gave an example. This is like when you get a joke. Okay, so the thing that makes a joke funny is the contradiction between what you thought that the joke was going, and at the end you saw that it was, totally the opposite of what you thought. But you get it all at once. So it's funny. But if you tell somebody, you explain a joke to someone, one step after the other, okay, now you get it, but it's not funny anymore. Why? Because you got it b'fchinas ochar. You didn't get it as a kedem, as a kevyochel, as a sort of kedem. When you get the whole thing, then wow, there's a contradiction in the beginning and the end, and it's very, very funny. Like if they say that, when I was young, I believed that anybody could become president. But when as I got older, I found out it was true. But because at the end you realize, boom, you get the whole thing at one shot. So that elicits an automatic response. So it says, the flame of the heart comes in on its own. The same thing is applicable when a person gets the yanika from the Shef Eloki, when it comes into his faculties, it causes his heart and his excitement in Yiddishkeit, in doing anything, to just flame on its own. There's no longer need, to fight for every step of the way. That's what Rabbeinu says about the tzaddikim. The hard work is in Vashov. There is Ratzov Vashov. By us, the challenge is to get ourselves going, to put the work in, to daven, to say word for word from the very beginning, and to hold our minds and say what are the words that we are reading, and take it one step after the other. And it's just like, oh man, this is not for me. What am I doing this? I'm supposed to daven. Okay, I'm supposed to get it over with. But so for us, the challenge is the ratzon, is to get excited, is to get all worked up and really get into it. Vashov, okay, that's our natural state. This is who we are. This is how we are. But it's tzaddikim, it's the opposite. By them, the ratzon is the natural state of being. As Rabbeinu says in Torah Dalet, Moshe Rabbeinu, he was, but the tzaddikim, if they had it their way, they would burn up to infinity on the spot. Who needs to say, who needs to come back, So Rabbeinu says, no, Moshe Rabbeinu, he says, Bevadei in Torah Dalet, he says, Bevadei during his lifetime, he also had his basal Gashmius, was a nullification of his self, of his being. But there was always a thread there that remained, that had to remain in this world until HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself will come and take his neshama. But the tzaddikim, this is it. This is what it's about. What do you want me, to rove around? So why? Because being that they are exposed to Shefa Eloki, when you're doing this particular thing, that the flame of the heart will flame up all on its own. And Rabbeinu goes and says, okay, the technique of doing this, if you want to get out of human mode and get into godly mode, you have to shut down the sensors, the receptors of human mode. Either you have to shut them down, or you have to control them, or you have to limit them, or you have to guide them. These are the mouth and the nose, the two nostrils, and the two eyes and the two ears, from center going out. So the mouth, we says, you have to sanctify them. When you sanctify those, they are connected to the brain. And obviously the brain uses the mouth to speak, and the nose to smell, and the ears to hear, and the eyes to see. But it's a two-way street. Depends. I mean, there is an influence that your mouth influences your mind, that your nose influences your mind, that your eyes influence your mind, and that your ears influence your mind. And that is, I mean, we can very easily understand. Anybody who grows up in a house where let's say the mother and the father are screaming, the children will be screamers as well. I mean, duh. I mean, that's what you know. And if they grew up with abuse, they'll be abusive. And whatever it is that whatever you see, whatever you hear, whatever you sense with smell is more a sense of yira. Whatever it is that you say, the way that the mouth of a person is, this is the way his mind is. When it says the kedusha shivas haneros, the kedusha of the 7 candles of the candelabra, of the mouth, the 2 nostrils, the 2 eyes, and the 2 ears, by controlling them, by subjugating them to the das that exists in each and every one of them, you achieve the high, exalted das upon which it says in das kaniso mechasata. If you have acquired das, you don't lack anything. What I mean to say by that is that every single midah on its own has its own 10 sefirot. There's a seichel in the bchinas peh, the seichel in bchinas nose, seichel bchinas ears, seichel bchinas eyes. What does it mean? It means, what is the appropriate way to use the mouth? That's the das in the mouth. What's the appropriate way to use the nose, which denotes the Yiras Hashem? It says about Mashiach, he will smell Hashem. So the Mashiach will look at everybody. He won't use his eyes. He won't use his ears. He'll have, by sense of smell, he already will know. He'll know what's the innermost state of each and every person, and he'll know where it is at, where it's coming from, and he will be able to tell each and every person what he needs to do in order to rectify and fix his neshama. The ears is the das in the ears is the das of what are you supposed to listen to, and what are you not supposed to listen to. You're supposed to listen to Divrei Chachamim and Divrei Tzadikim and have emunah in them. You're supposed to close up your ears. To Lashon Hara and to whatever the same thing with the eyes. The eyes, the das in the naim is v'yatzim einov miras vera. Shut your eyes from seeing bad. In the mouth, it's in Rabbeinu says, Yishmer atzmo mili meloi mashek. A person should guard himself from saying something which is not true, from a lie. So this is like a more circumspect kind of thing. Just keep yourself not to. In the nam yatzim einav, just shut your eyes from seeing bad. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no half match. Just shut your eyes. When you are subjugating the usage of your mouth and of yira, you're afraid from a Kodesh Baruch Hu. So why, what's it need to be afraid of Kodesh Baruch Hu, or afraid from something else? The thing is that whenever it is, this is something that I heard from David Wirtzman. It's a brilliant insight. He says, when a person does not behave according to Yiras Shamayim, it's because he has year of something else. Let's say that your boss wants to know something, and according of the halachas of Lashon Hara, you're not supposed to tell him. It might be a client, a potential client, and you're tempted to say something which is not true, or okay, well, the boss, I'll lose my parnasa, whatever it is. The boss asked me, I have to tell him. Whatever it is, what does it mean? It means that whenever it is that you are afraid of somebody else, you are staying away from Yiras Hashem. If you're not afraid of Kodesh Baruch Hu, it's because you're afraid of somebody else more. If you have proper Yiras Shamayim, you will not be afraid of anybody else. It's a this or that. It's not like, oh, Yiras Shamayim, okay, it's a good thing to have. No, the thing is that you always have fear. You always have fear. The question is, who are you afraid of? You can choose who to be afraid of, Kodesh Baruch Hu or somebody else. Very interesting insight. And when you're talking about the ears, as we said before, this thing about the eyes, so this is the das in the midas. The 7 candles obviously represent the 7 midas of Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, and the Malchus, which is the Peh. When you are subjugating the usage of your receptors and the Klei Dibur and Chule, you are zoicha. Basically, what you're doing is that you're limiting them. You're not going to say what you want. You're only going to say with that which is true. I mean, you don't have to say everything just because it's true. I mean, if you're going to hurt somebody's feelings, so don't do it. It's an event, so just because it's true doesn't make it non-Lashon Hara or something that's permissible. That you can't hurt other people because you're a truth sayer. So don't say a lie, but don't say the truth. But a lie don't say. The same thing applies to each and every one of us. To be afraid of Kodesh Baruch Hu, not to be afraid of something else. And to believe in Chachamim, not to believe whatever they say in the news. The nonsense that they all the different opinions that they give over. You choose what it is that you want, and you basically, the das in that midah directs your usage of this midah. And when you're doing it that way, you are basically influencing your brain, your mind, from being a human mind that receives and understands things on a human mode. In addition of 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 2, and 2 plus 2 is 4, and so forth and so on. And you are opening your mind to get a shefa eloki, which is B'chinas Ruach HaKodesh. You understand things which a human mind cannot arrive at by deduction, or by addition, or by subtraction. Either you know it or you don't know it. Obviously, the biggest example of this is Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu is the Torah is complete, and it's totally new, and it's totally old. It always existed. This is before the world was created, and the Torah will never be changed. But it keeps on revealing. But everything that is revealed are simply things that were always there. It's just that now, at our point in time, they go into our faculties. That's the important point. The point is that we have faculties in the Lashon of the Hasidus and the Kabbalah. It's called Kalim. We have our vessels. And every vessel is contained of or and kli. There's the vessel, there's the faculty, there's the container, and there's the lights. And then there are two lights. There is the light which is inside, and the light which is the outside. The light which is the inside, that's the intelligence, that's the knowledge, that's the understanding that you already can process, you have processed, and you have it, you contain it, you understand it, you know it. The light which is around, which is called the makif, the circumferential light, this is the future knowledge. These are the things that you will know, if you want to know them. That's a very important point, because your human mind needs to be at all time directed towards these makifin, this eternal, endless das. You get it as much as you were able to prepare the kelim. But and to prepare the kelim is by controlling of the 7 candles of the candelabra. Now, a very important point is that it's not something which is done piecemeal, because you're looking to attain something which is beyond the pieces. And the menorah, says we read it last. This week we're going to read of a mikshatase. It has to be made out of one piece. It has to all to be one piece. You cannot connect it from different kinds. It doesn't matter what you make the menorah from. Moshe Rabbeinu made it of gold. That was the menorah from Moshe Rabbeinu. But milchatchila in Beis Hamikdash, you could make menorah out of wood. You could make menorah out of practically anything. But it has to be from one piece. It cannot be, something that is pieced together. The same thing is the shmiras of the avodah of the 7 candles of the candelabra cannot be, something. I don't say a lie, but I look whatever it is I want to look, or I listen to whatever shtuyot I want to listen to, or I don't listen to the radio, I don't listen to this, whatever it is, but I say whatever it is I want to say. So I have this. It's not a nothing, and it's not a small thing, but it's not kedushas shivas and eretz. This is a very, very important point to internalize. Which means it's just not you happen to be good at this and you happen to be good at that and you have a problem with this, you have a problem with that. It's very possible for you to be more advanced in one area and less advanced in another area. That's normal. But the thing is that the main kavanah, the main goal, the main aim of everything that you do has to be mekadesh your menorah. So you have to understand, every Jew is a menorah. When you see a Jew goes in the street, it's not 7 candles are walking in the street. A menorah is walking in the street. And the actual avodah of controlling what you say and to see that you're not afraid of human being ravens, there's a Kodesh Baruch Hu, and there's, as they said, there's literally hell to pay. All right, so and the ears, you should listen to Chachamim, you should have emunas Chachamim, that because they worked on the 7 candles, and the limit of the Torah, their words are not like the words that you hear on the radio of the politicians or the newspaper people or whatever it is. No, their words are already Pchinas Shefa Eloki. Moshe Rabbeinu vis-a-vis Aaron HaKohen is a makif keneged pnimi. The avodah of Aaron HaKohen is be'aloischas pnei haneros, When you elevate from below, you elevate it to above. The avodah of Moshe Rabbeinu is to bring from above, to bring it down. Atares aladas. Moshe Rabbeinu brought the Torah from above to us. Enachinami Moshe Rabbeinu vis-a-vis HaKadosh Baruch Hu is also, from down to up. But as far as we are concerned, we are the receivers from Moshe Rabbeinu, from the Tzadikei Emes. So compared to us, they are Pchinas Das, and we are Pchinas Shivas and Eres. Our work is from below to above to be Mekadosh the candles, and the Shef Eloki comes down. The same principle is outlined in Torah Aleph very, very clearly. Rabbeinu says that a person should always look for the Sechel HaAmiti, the real Sechel that exists in everything. And Rabbeinu says the Sechel is an Or Gadol, is a huge light. The only way you can do it is through Emunah, through Kabbalas Olam Shamayim, through having candles, having this is the Nakuda that we're saying over here. When you prepare it, when you prepare the keli, the light will come in. That will fill the keli for you automatically. So this is what we have said so far, and then we went on to Inyan. They said this whole Inyan is an Inyan of Sukkah. It's an amazing thing, As we said, we have Pasha Zachor. It says Reishis Goyim Amalek. Amalek is the beginning, the start of all the Goyim. What Reishis? What we're not going before Amalek. Amalek is the grandson of Ham. I'm sorry, the grandson of Esav. You had the Canaan was a what? How'd you get Reishis Goyim Amalek? He was the first Goyim. No, but the point is that Amalek epitomizes the Inyan, the Chochmah of the Goyim, which has a beginning. And then something comes after. Reishis of the Goyim, Amalek is the one that starts with a who says who. How do you know that? It's a very important Nakuda, specifically, with the father of all Amalek is, of course, the Nachash, right? That started with Adam and Chava and started the whole thing. Check out, what did the Nachash say to Chava? Very interesting. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, Ki biyom ochelcha mimenu mas tamut. Don't eat from the tree of good knowledge, good and bad, because the day that you will eat from that, you will die. The Nachash says to her, Lo mas tamusam. Why did she believe him? Forget about the said that when he said that, she looked at the tree and she liked the tree. She really felt like eating from it. In other words, whatever it is that the Nachash said was only a ba'efsha, just opened the door for something she really wanted to do before. That's the virulent trickery of Amalek. He gives you all the reasons of says who? What's the big deal? Well, boom. Because that's something that you always wanted to do. He just gives you the opening. But still, you're talking about Chava. That's the handiwork of Kadosh Baruch Hu himself, the perfect woman ever. Why did she fall for it? The language of the Nachash was extremely sophisticated. He says, Loi moist musan. Why does he repeat? Moist musan. Death you shall die. No death you shall die. Why does he repeat that? What is this repetition? Loi moist musan. I once heard somebody tell me that the What the Nachash told her is, you will not die an eternal death. You may die in this world, but you will not die in the next one. Can't argue with that, right? In other words, it's not a total loss. If you don't listen to him, you can let go and do that which you really feel like doing. But why? Because it's not, you're not paying forever. Loi Master Muslim. Bingo, you got her. The minute he opened up the door a little bit, her taiva, vaterki, kitova prila inaim, it's a beautiful fruit. The taiva inaim, not just the tova inaim, the taiva inaim. She saw it was, in other words, the taiva took over. With Adam Rishon, it was even harder. It says, what did Adam Rishon say? What Adam Rishon is Bechira B'Yeh, he's the one that contains, he spoke to HaKadosh Baruch Hu face to face. What is this? Why did Adam Rishon eat from the fruit? Adam Rishon made the mistake that Avraham Avinu did not make. The Kadosh Baruch Hu says to Adam Rishon, he says, you eat from all the trees, but don't eat from that one. Why? Because the day that you will eat from that tree, you will die. Adam Rishon understood this to mean that the minute that Chava ate from the tree, the only tikkun that there is to die. In other words, what Adam Rishon ate from the tree to Eitz Hadas Tova, it's not because he wanted the fruit. No, because he was Ma'aser Nefesh. He knew that he was going to die. He was Ma'aser Nefesh. And then, boom, it dawned on him. Who asked you to make this cheshbon? He learned beyond to learn Master Muslim. Okay, so he chose to Master Muslim. Okay, now we'll fix it because Chava already ate. Now we need to fix. So that's the way you fix it. It was Makabel himself to die. Because Baruch Hu told him, if you eat, you will die. It means that Baruch Hu said, never eat whatever it is. Otherwise, there's no. If you will eat, you'll have to die. In other words, there's a way to fix it. This is the Yetzirah going into. This is the mistake. This is the lack of tmimus. You can see by Avraham Avinu. The Medrash is amazing of what the language what was going on with the Avraham Avinu when he took Yitzchak to the Akedah. It took 3 days. It took 3 days to go from wherever Avraham Avinu was to why he wasn't that far away. Why did it take 3 days? He said because he had to wade through waters. He literally had to wade through waters, and the Samech Mem was hacking the Chainik endlessly. How can you do this? You have been telling everybody who are sacrificing their children to their deities, to the idols, that the Kodesh Baruch Hu doesn't want it. Now you're going to do it. You're contradicting everything that you lived for. You can't do this. Kodesh Baruch Hu, no, bincha yechidcha asher ahavta et Yitzchak. Your single beloved son Yitzchak, the one that you love. And he kept on, and the thing is, all the things that it says, because Baruch Hu said Yitzchak is going to be your progeny. All your children are going to come from Yitzchak. You're going to kill him now. How can you argue with that? This is Amalek. This is what Pasha Zechor, this Shabbos is all about. Amalek comes in and says, and he comes to you with incredibly good arguments. Each argument is true in and on its own. The answer of Avraham Avinu should have been the answer of Adam Arishon. Avraham says, "Ki b'tmimus ani oilech." I'm just going to be a mistake. I don't care. I don't know. Baruch Hu says this. That's what I do. At the end, the final trick of the Samach Mem, he told him the truth. He told him, "You're not going to sacrifice Yitzchak." I was told, Ma'achre Pargot, from behind the screen, I was told Yitzchak is not going to be brought for offering, but the ram is going to be brought to offering. That was the final, hit to the solar plexus. He told him the truth, and Avraham says, "I don't care." Because Baruch Hu says, I'm going to bring the oil. Avraham Avinu was zoicha to a madrega where he was a Prinas Kedem. I mean, he was already Prinas Kedem. Even his body was Prinas Kedem. They said that Vayishlach Avram es Yodoi, that he sent his hand and he took the knife. He said, "What in Vayishlach es Yodoi? He sent his hand." She said, he took the knife. When he sent his hand and he took the knife. He says, because the body of Avraham Avinu would not do anything which is not the true Ratzon of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So his hand would not take the knife. He had to force his hand to take the knife. How far these things go. Unbelievable. That's what Adam Rishon should do. That's the whole thing that happened with Yosef HaTzadik. Also, that's the one thing that we need to understand. That as long as we're going on, we are going one step after another. Because we were massing a certain makif, we're bringing it in. Whenever it is that you have achieved, you have internalized another level of godliness, and a godly das, godly knowledge. There is the next challenge. There's the next hurdle. Because the next hurdle is the echatimtza, that's the keli, that's the vessel for you to get a new masik. Because the Kodesh Baruch Hu is infinite. Take a look at Yosef HaTzadik. Yosef HaTzadik is learning with his father, entire Torah. He's sold for a slave. For a whole year, his master's wife, demanded him every single day. And Yosef says, Vayimayan, the trop on the word Vayimayan is Shalshalas. No is a no, is a no, is a no. And even he almost and then he chopped himself, no. When he was able to already, to break away, what was his reward? Saying, Yosef HaTzadik, Shomer Bris B'Tachlis, he got 12 years in jail. 12 years in jail. After a year of withstanding such incredible temptations every single day, and you win it over, what is your prize? Ta-da, behind door number 3, 12 years on the slammer. Wow. Because there is another makif to get in. Once he took that in, And the 12 years and 10 years in jail, and then another 2 years afterwards, with a total knowledge that there is no beginning, there is no end. This is Prinas Makif. This is Sechel Eloki. As a Roman said, Betmimus Ani Oilach. I'm going betmimus. I'm simple. I'm just Tmimus Dik. I'm not looking here or there. What HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants, this is what I do. And then comes the prize. He becomes the king of Egypt. Prinas Makif, he becomes a king of, basically Egypt was the power at the time. And so he was basically the ruler over the entire world. Every single step that you go, you see there's a hurdle. And that hurdle represents an opportunity. The nisayon of Amalek says who? And your nisayon is between us and Yaelef. Your boss tells you, tell me who said this. Tell me who did this. Tell me, in the committee, your friend says, they voted not to accept, I don't know, him or his children or whatever at the school, and you're part of the committee, and he comes and says, just tell me how people voted. And your temptation is to say that it wasn't me. You're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to deny, you're not allowed to affirm. But your friend will be upset with you. Your boss will be upset with you. Maybe you lose your job. I'm afraid of Hashem. I'm going betmimus. I'm not going to say something which is not true. Maybe just a little bit. Somebody offers you a job and you say, listen, I want to change it a little bit. How HaKadosh Baruch Hu help you? HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't need your help. This is the Pchinas Sukkah. Then the Torah says that this is the essence of the Sukkah. Sukkah is a non-akovet. This is that Shefa Eloki. This is Ruach HaKodesh. This is what you gain. This is what you get from guarding the 7 candles. From applying the das of every one of the candles, you're getting the Sukkah. Sukkah is an amazing thing. La'asid Lavai, the Kodesh Baruch Hu is going to, says now let's give out the schar, let's give out the punishment, and all the goyim will come and say, everybody, Am Yisrael will come there. Kodesh Baruch Hu says, anybody who worked throughout this, the 6,000 years of exile, of world, now will come to Olam Haba, the 7,000, the last 1,000 years, the 7,000. I'm sure I will come. The Goyim will also come. That's what's in the Midrash. I just said the Goyim will come. Come for what? They want schar. It's a Gemara. They want schar. You want schar? What kind of schar do you want? For what? Because look, we build highways so Am Yisrael can go wherever they go, and they with the emes is a zoy, and they will know it then. Which means it's very possible. It's not very possible, but that's the way it is. For somebody to build an edifice that will stand for 1,000 years, just so that a Jew who is going along the way, going to home or going to the mitzvahs, will find 1 hour of shelter from the rain. That building will be standing for 1,000 years. So they're going to have very good. We built it all for them. Everything that we did was ultimately, they will know then, they will realize everything was for them. We did it all for them. Because Baruch Hu says, Shaitim Sheba'ilam, you fools, you didn't do it for the Jews. And Achinama, you didn't know that you were doing for the. Ultimately, you were doing it for the Jews. As we say, Amalek comes up with, he's a good lawyer. He says the truth. He says, but that's not what you meant. You meant it for yourself. You meant all these bathhouses to put prostitutes there. You made all these beautiful highways in order to place armies there. You did it for yourself. You didn't have the Jews in mind, b'chalal. So the Goyim will say, also, okay, so give us a Torah now. Give it to us now. Because when he said to give us the Torah, so the Kodesh Baruch Hu says, I gave you 7 mitzvahs b'nei Noach, and you didn't keep them. The 7 mitzvahs b'nei Noach is also a 7. Keneged Shiva Saneres. Keneged the Shiva Saner Yaakov. It's also a b'china of 7. It's not a b'china of Kedusha, because of the Shiva Saneres is, I'm sorry, the Shiva mitzvahs b'nei Noach is all things not to do. There's not mitzvahs asay. There's no iskadshus in it. Just don't kill and don't rob, don't steal and don't fornicate and don't whatever. All the things. It's everything is that don't have false idols. Whatever. All these things, and again also the mitzvah or to have a justice system, as they say, is just that not to have bedlam, not to have lawlessness. All the mitzvahs are, but still it's a b'china of 7. Because Baruch said, I gave you 7 mitzvahs b'nei Noach. Did you keep them? Until you're looking for the entire Torah, I gave you 7 mitzvahs. Did you keep them? No. Okay. The Ram says, okay, so give us now. Or we didn't do it. Give us now. So Kodesh Baruch Hu says, okay. And what mitzvah is he going to give them? He says, mitzvah kala yeshlu sukkah. I have an easy mitzvah. Sukkah. Why is it called mitzvah kala? Why is it called a light mitzvah, an easy mitzvah? Because Rashi says, she'en b'chisaron kis. The Gemara says, I think, that you don't have to spend money on it. You can just go out and get some branches, whatever it is, and make yourself a sukkah. Even then, Losid Lovay, they will already once and tell them it's called mitzvah kala, she'en b'chisaron kis. But anyhow. And they will go in there. With the sukkah, they'll make sukkahs. The Kodesh Baruch Hu moitzichom min atiko. The Kodesh Baruch Hu, takes out a sun, like a really, really, really strong sun, and they'll be sweltering. And the Medrash says they'll come out of the sukkah and they'll kick the sukkah. The heck with it. We don't need this. We didn't bargain for this. He says, but the Jews are also mitzvah potom in a sukkah, right? But the difference is that the goyim are happy. Okay, that's it. We don't have to be. We don't need the sukkah. Forget about it. If you're sweltering, whatever it is, you don't need the sukkah. Forget about it. A Jew, though, when it's raining, he goes out of the sukkah. It's not just by him. It's not a mitzvah potam in a sukkah. He is mitzvah that he's potam from the sukkah. He feels bad that he doesn't have to sit in the sukkah. Ki b'tmimis ani haylach. I'm going with mimis. I'm going simply. Amalek is always an ulterior motive. There's always, says who, whatever. It's okay, let's get away with it. Let's, find this is the Indian of Amalek. Shivanana covered. Amalek came after the Eden. Told the Goyim, you can start up with them, no big deal, no problem. He's the one that's jumped into the fray. When I was kind of Mitzrayim, exhausted. They couldn't think. 200 years of slavery. And then he jumps on them. Amalek jumps on you when you're exhausted, when you're bushed. You have no more bandwidth. Then he wants to attack you. This is Amalek. remember what Amalek did to you. It's so interesting. As we said, there is very, very good. Niv is saying that to all the other Yom Tovim, the Goyim have parallels. He says they have their own New Year's Eve, they have their own Pesach, whatever it is, they have Ramadan, whatever it is, but they don't have anything which parallels Sukkot. That is because Am Yisrael, when they went in the desert, they had the Anona covered, they had the man, and they had the be'er. So man is the bread, and the be'er is the water, and the Anona covered was, the protection that you didn't have. Amalek could only control people who were expelled from Anona covered. The Erev Rav was not in the Anona covered, but the Erev did get from the man because they had to eat. And they did get from Be'er Shel Miriam, the water. So as we said, they imagined to themselves, you can taste in the man whatever you want. So they imagine, I don't know, lobster or whatever it is that they imagine. And they tasted it in it. So there are no Yom Tovim which correspond to the man or to the water. Because this the Erev also had, the Goyim also had. But Anona Kovet, the Sukkah is the only one that we had. That's why there's a Yom Tov Zecher Anona Kovet. There's no Zecher, Yom Tov Zecher to the man, no Yom Tov Zecher to Be'er Shel Miriam. The inyan of Amalek is the doubt. And it always comes with a grain of truth. To be in Oved Hashem, to get into Avodas Hashem, to learn Torah, you have to live. You have to work, you have to this, you have to that. There's always a grain of truth. He's always, quote unquote, has your benefit in mind. He has you in mind. He doesn't have you in mind. He wants to kill you. He wants to finish you off. Hashem should help us all, B'ezrat Hashem. We will have Shabbos Zachor, we Mekayim the mitzvah. Obviously, we are noyeg, that the women are chayav in Parsha Zachor, and they will all be there. Mitzvah Hashem. It's getting serious, like next week is Purim, right? Baruch Hashem, all right. Okay, B'ezrat Hashem, Motzei Shabbos, we'll be talking